So I try to do that in English. Professor Dr. Behrens was born in Venezuela. And after I came back in 1995 from Peter MacDonald in Los Angeles, I did my BTA, Been to America at that time for my career building. And then he started his fellowship with Professor Naumann. And we met, and he saw all my terrible starting mistakes with surgery. I will always remember one of my intended lamellar keratoplasty. It was not superficial, it was not deep, it was just somewhere, and it was terrible. And so we know each other very well from the very beginning. So he was 3 years with Professor Naumann, 1996 to 1999. He also acquired the Dr. Med degree, the German doctor there. Then he he went to Irvine. Peter MacDonald had moved to Irvine from Los Angeles, and he stayed with Peter MacDonald there for 2 years, and then he went back to his home country, Caracas. 2001, he became chairman of the largest eye hospital in Caracas, and then Hugo Chavez came. And the situation was terrible, so he decided with his family, his wife Natalie and three children, to go to the United States. At this time, Peter MacDonald had moved to the Wilmer Eye Hospital in Johns Hopkins, and Ashley went there, and he created first the Corneal Research Lab, until he had the possibility to see patients. And then in 2006, he was appointed the executive medical director of King Khaled Eye Institute in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and he was there the boss for 4 years. But this was a temporary appointment. Then he moved back to Wilmer, Johns Hopkins, and was then appointed the chief of the Comprehensive Eye Care Division, which is the largest division of the Department of Ophthalmology at Johns Hopkins. And so, we know each other for a long time, and Peter MacDonald once said, well, if you look for a keynote lecturer or somebody to choose, then you go to the Medline and you go to all the databases and you check who is the best, and finally you invite your friend. And so this is what I also do, but the friend is the best, and he will talk about corneal transplantation, a constant evolution throughout the past century. So I destroyed my joke now. Give me the next slide. Because, of course, I have to say a few words about Professor Naumann. He was my one and only teacher, actually, besides Peter MacDonald. And he was, next to my wife, the one who is most responsible for me being here and making me this career and shaping me from being unshaped. I'm still unshaped. Naumann was chairman in Tübingen, 5 years, he didn't like it there. Then he came to Erlangen, and he was chairman there from 1980 to 2003. He produced the Bible, the Blue Bible, Pathology of the Eye, and although it was no more on the market, I acquired such a stack of editions to hand it over to all my beginning residents, but now I'm ran out of reserve, so the rest of the residents don't get the Bible. He's member of the National Academy of Sciences, Leopoldina. He's member of the Academia Ophthalmologica Internationalis. And of course, he was ICO, International Council of Ophthalmology president, for 2 terms, from 1998 to 2006. And unfortunately, he died in June 2021, and I can admit that I go back each Christmas to Erlangen to visit my parents-in-law, but also to visit his grave. Ashley.
Sehr geehrten Damen und Herren, I'm not going to speak in German. I used to speak German a long time ago, but unfortunately, it's all weg. So we're going to talk in English, and this is a super honor to me to be here today, sharing the podium and specifically giving this lecture about Professor Naumann. So it's a little bit emotional to me because as well, as Bertolt said, he was a mentor, and he was not only a mentor academically and clinically, but he was a gentleman, and he basically taught me things as a gentleman that I basically will last forever and that I use every day in my daily life. And I'd never met a person like him before. So it's really something that I was telling Berthold yesterday, that my life is like before and after Erlangen. So thank you very much for inviting me to give this lecture. And of course, I don't deserve, and I don't think that I'm enough of a personality to give this very important lecture, but it's okay. We're friends, and Berthold, has 6 connections, and I'm here. So thanks very much again, and this is the Gottfried Naumann lecture, and I'm going to talk about a super wide topic of corneal transplantation, but I'm going to stress at the very end a little bit of things that we're going to be seeing in the near future that are somewhat, scary for us as surgeons, but it would be things that I think we will be seeing very soon. I do have financial interest in one of the instruments in this presentation, which is the Ingenuity Alcon device. I'm sorry for this. I was going to try to change the slide, but we're doing currently a study with that device, which is a 3D screen for the surgery. And we're going to talk about a little bit of his history. And this is one of the things that brought me here to Germany to do a subspecialty in cornea. And it was because you guys are the smartest guys in cornea in the world for a long, long time. And actually, the generation of corneal transplantation was basically born in Germany. Franz Reisinger was the first person who proposed the term keratoplasty. And he was the first doing keratoplasties, xenografts, that at that time was kind of revolutionary and crazy. We still think it's crazy, but I would not say ever that this might not be a possibility in the future. We might still work with some immunity things that we haven't ironed yet completely, and might be a possibility in the future. And he was the first one who coined the term, but of course didn't have success. The one who really had success was an Austrian ophthalmologist, Dr. Zerm, that did his first transplant in the Czech Republic in 1905, or was 1904, Berthold? I don't know, probably 1 year before. And this is the sign that you see in his clinic in Czech Republic. And, because it was the first successful corneal transplantation ever done. Of course, using a German instrument that was developed by Dr. von Hippel in 1888, that was an amazing device too. I mean, it was a mechanical trephine that for, if you really think about that time and what they were accomplishing with this device, was really a great advancement at that time. The eye banks came later. Of course, this is a very, very brief summary of 100 years of work. But the eye banks were created later in 1944 by Dr. Payton in New York. And as you can see here, these were pretty much the ways that they received the corneas in the past. I have to mention this because this is, of course, the other big figure at Wilmer, where I work currently, and is Dr. Naumann. He was the first one who described rejection in corneal transplantation, and it was in 1950. But look at those dates. I mean, this is pretty relatively recent that we were doing all this work, and a lot of stuff that we didn't know that existed up to late 1950s. And this is even worse. I mean, the first storage media in 1974, that was just yesterday. And now we use it regularly every day. Dr. Kaufman, Herbert Kaufman in McCary, did develop the first storage media to try to preserve the corneas longer for transplantation and to be more amenable for eye bank manipulation. Dr. Byrne in 1976 developed the endothelial cell specular microscope, so that was really, really early as well, compared to all the developments. Remember that in 1939, I don't know if you remember this story, but it's a very interesting story about the RK incisions, and Dr. Sato in Japan. I think I've told this story many times, but in 1939, he didn't know what the endothelium was for. And he was doing these incisions in the endothelial side, the RK incisions in the endothelial sides of the corneas. And the good thing is that the Asians tend to have a larger cell count number, so he didn't get a complete ossification of the corneas immediately after he was doing this, but later on, he did, and he actually committed suicide after that because all his patients basically turned out to be blind afterwards. So he didn't know that the endothelium was important to keep the corneal transparency. And just in 1976 is when we started really learning all that stuff. So how many and how different types of corneal transplants we have? Well, we have a variety, all layers of the cornea you can basically transplant. I'm not quite sure. Maybe you can transplant even epithelial cell layers. I don't know. But we have tried everything. And these are probably the most common, what you see in this slide, in the anterior part of the cornea. In the posterior part of the cornea, you have the DSEC, which was developed in the United States also recently, probably 15 years ago. And the DMEC, even more recently, also with less tissue. The idea is to try to transplant always less and less and less tissue so that you get less rejection, immune reaction to the transplant. So other more kind of Star Wars like approaches are these osteodontokeratoprosthesis that probably you have seen here, taking a tooth, very traumatic. I cannot imagine doing this procedure, and it takes a long time of being really patient to do all this procedure. You can see here we use a PMMA lens, we put it in a tooth, we carve the an opening in the tooth, we put it in the cheek so that it can get vascularized. Then you get a little bit of a membrane to cover that keratoprosthesis in the surface of the cornea, and the result cosmetically is definitely not so nice. But the patient can see. And patients that have bilateral problems, obviously, this is an option, a very, very valid option, because they can regain vision. Other procedures, the Boston keratoprosthesis, of course, developed by Dr. Dolman in Harvard. That's another option. A lot of complications that we see after these transplants, but they are options, ultimate options for patients without any possibilities of getting good vision. This is a procedure we do commonly now. This is me doing a DSEC, but I've been doing sutureless DSEC for a long time. So we don't do, as you can see here, oops, well, I missed it. But if you see the DSEC graph, we just put it more towards the internal lip of the wound, and we put air, and basically we don't do any sutures, and usually the patients do very well. We don't have to do astigmatism correction or anything like that. And then in a very big, I think, an important step in corneal surgery was done by Professor Naumann here in Germany, and it was the excimer laser trephination. That unfortunately, because of probably economic reasons, because it's not well reimbursed or very difficult to get reimbursed in the United States, this didn't fly as we would have expected. But thank goodness Dr. Zeitz continued his legacy here, and he still performs this procedure, which is beautiful. And really, the results that you can see are amazing. Unfortunately, I couldn't upload the video that you transferred me, Bertolt, but most of you are familiar with the procedure. So this, I think it's surgery like many great doctors in the past have think way ahead of its time. So this is something that probably today is still not completely widespread, but people will go back to this in a few years, and they will redo this and probably improve some things, and we will be adopting this in the future. Now I'm going to talk a little bit of what we're doing currently, not necessarily with corneal transplants, but with cataract surgeries, which could be definitely transferred to corneal transplants as well. And it's the 3D imaging. Most importantly for the surgeon, because that way you don't have to, you save your back, and you don't have to be, attached to the oculars all the time. And second, that you can do acrobatics with the patients. For example, patients that cannot lie flat in a bed, you can put them in a position more like a dentist, and I've done surgeries like that in cataract surgery, that they cannot lie flat, and it works. And if you see here, this patient is basically almost sitting here, and you don't have to hunch yourself to try to get to the oculars. Imagine this, the microscope head here, the oculars would be here, and it's unreachable. So these are patients that now can be operated with this technology. And this is something that will be probably useful for corneal transplantation as well in the future. And why I see in the future, because right now it's very difficult. When we started doing this technique, it was probably in one day I was running with cataract surgeries. I've tried to do it with corneal transplants, and it's very difficult to get the dexterity to do the suturing. So, and it's not only me, most of the surgeons that have tried, of the corneal surgeons, have been having more difficulties doing suturing. But doing DSEX, it's fantastic technology, because again, saves your back. There's a lot of other microscopes, new microscopes that are going to be coming into the market. This one is in the market already in the United States. Most of you probably have seen it. It's like a little helmet that you put in your head, and it gives you the image, whatever you're looking at, it gives you the image of the eye that you're doing. And it was inspired in jet fighter pilots. It's an Israeli company that developed it. And it's a cool device. And you can see here the video of how you look. And this is the real video of what you're seeing. Of course, this is with the cataract surgery, but you can see that it's very clear, and the person is seeing. I mean, you're looking at a image of the eye, and the device is actually in front of you, like here, but you don't see it. Basically, you can switch into one screen and the other, and you can see what's going on around you. And you can also put some information of what you're doing on the sides of the image. So you can put like a toric lens. You can put different devices that you would like to know when you're doing the surgery. And the only thing is that, of course, it needs a lot of work to do, because it is very heavy, and of course for longer periods of surgeries, especially in retina surgeries, would be terrible. The other thing that we're working more recently is in robotic surgery, and that will come also for corneal transplants in the future. There's 3 companies that are developing the robots for eye surgery: Prezi Eyes in the Netherlands, the Intuitive Da Vinci, which is probably one of the most developed ones in California, and the Iris UCLA project that I'm going to show you next. Prezi Eyes, based in Europe, it's a little bit more for the retina surgeon. And you see that it's kind of a little bit more basic procedure. Probably for the cornea surgeon will be not ready yet for prime time. But basically is, the surgeon can just manipulate the handles, and they have no touch to the eye. The Da Vinci system is the other one that I think is going to come very soon to the market. And of course, it's way more sophisticated, but it's going to be available soon one of the things that I think that is going to be the next step is to use this screen that we do with the Ingenuity and couple it to this, and you might be able to do remote surgery. For example, I'm here, and then I sit over here in the podium, and then I can be doing a surgery, you know, of course with my glasses on, doing the surgery remotely in India, let's say, with a device in India. The limiting factor is, of course, the internet quality and the data transmission. But I think this is, as you know, these are things that are changing day to day. So that's the future. And now the real future, I don't have a crystal ball, but these are things that I'm pretty sure that you're going to be seeing in very few years. And actually there's studies and there's people working on that I know. And it's complete robotic surgery. Bad news for the surgeons. But it's going to happen, guys, and we will probably have to find other ways to make the revenues, but this is coming. And with that would be probably the solution that Bertolt and I were fighting for when I was doing the fellowship and he was in Erlangen trying to teach me a little bit of German. And that really will give you extreme precision because you're going to have the suturing done by a standardized device. There's going to be a perfect harmonization that was, you know, Dr. Zeitz also dream to do with the cornea of the donor and harmonize the cornea of the donor with the patient. And a match trephination, probably using the same excimer laser device, but more sophisticated to do the corneal trephination. And this is real. They're doing it right now with cataract surgery in the United States. David Chang is working on this, autonomous surgery. So basically, you put the patient, you know, under the robot, and the robot will perform. Because of you know, the artificial intelligence, will perform the surgery. Of course, it's not going to be for every case, but it's going to be for routine cases. It's just a matter of getting all the data and lots of data to the machine to learn how to do the procedure. If we teach you know, residents, and I can do surgery, I'm sure that these computers might be able to do better in the future than us. And I wanted to close by showing a few pictures of those times in Erlangen. And this is the lab, the pathology lab of Professor Naumann that we used to meet, I think, every Thursday, Bertolt, right? Was the, yeah. So, and these are a few people, Dr. Neumann, I can recognize there with hair. No, he doesn't have any. And this was the kindest person that I really recall. He used to invite us to his house and give us dinner and all that stuff and talk about all these, every single thing that he was always teaching us in the hospital and outside of the hospital were things that I really bring deeply into my heart, and I can, you know, use on a daily basis in my life. And these are, you know, a big trip that we did to, I think it's Dresden, this one, Professor Naumann here, and Leipzig. Okay, that's what it is, you see. My wife, I think, was dancing the polka here. I don't know why she's like that. And this is me here, and always, you know, super kind person. I have my first child was born in Germany. This little guy here, Ashley Jr. He's not in the medical field, but he's in finance, probably smarter. And yeah, and this is my lovely wife, and you know, the gentleman over here. And this is the last picture that I have with this amazing person that I will always keep very close to my heart. And this was in his 80th birthday in Erlangen. So he was still running super hot, and was a few years before his passing. So always grateful to Professor Naumann, grateful to Berthold, because Berthold was also, my person of, giving me courage all the time and, strength to continue and be better, which I really appreciate. And this is the Wilmer. So the Wilmer Institute where we work, this is the research area, and we do surgeries here in the basement area. My office is around here. No, I'm sorry, around here in the 3rd floor. And you're welcome to visit us anytime. Again, thank you very much for inviting me and giving me the honor of producing this lecture about the person that I really have very close to my heart. And thank you very much again for the welcoming here in Homburg, as usual. Thank you.
Ashley, thank you very much. You showed this picture, your last contact to Naumann, and first of all, this is your plaque.
Thank you.
And
Picture.
our friend Antonio Bergua. Antonio Bergua, here at that time when we planned this 80th birthday, he produced a medal from silver with the face of Naumann up front, and in the back his subspecialties, which is cornea and glaucoma and tumors. And so this is the medal just to think about him.
Thank you so much.
All the best.
I really appreciate it.